Some of you guys may know that I started playing TFT last set. I dabbled, I played for a while. This is the first full set where I played the game serious, and I hit master rank, the highest rank. Once you're in master, the top X percentage are grandmaster and then challenger. I like strategy games even. And I like card games, which are kind of similar, sort of. But this is a game that's completely different. So the way I got good at this is the same way that I would get good at any new fighting game or anything that I'm interested in, right? Last set was my first time playing. I made it to Diamond 2, and I stopped playing. The reason I stopped playing is everybody said, this set sucks. Don't even play 9.5. It's trash. And I kind of was like, all right, I guess I'll just stop. The vibes were in shambles. Everybody was mad. Come to find out that in set 10, everybody's acting the same way. So it turns out I should have just climbed to master last set. In this set, when I was in platinum and emerald and all the ranks below diamond, I was so much better at the game than when I was diamond last set. As I was playing, all I could think was man, I knew so little about the game last set and I made it to diamond. You have to learn how to take all of your knowledge and then put it into the game and make it actually happen. So for instance, you may know a lot about a game, but once your hands are on it and it's your hands and body and brain playing the game rather than you being a spectator, how can you translate those skills and how good can you be at the game? It's when you watch Tekken, and you're watching Arslan Ash beat up Knee, you're like, this guy's really good. If I was in the game right now, I'm pretty sure I might be able to beat up Knee. You just gotta go low right there. You gotta do mid right there. You watch someone else play. And then when you go play, you're like, I don't know how to do anything. My hands are stupid. And my brain is even more stupid. That happens consistently, right? When I'm climbing, you'll notice that as I'm climbing, boom, I hit platinum rank. I don't really go up anywhere for a while. Then there's this meteoric climb and I make it all the way to emerald rank. And then I'm at the bottom of emerald rank for a little while. Then I make this big climb all the way to diamond. And then even in diamond, I didn't really have any problems. I just made it straight to master. These are plateaus. These are moments where I hit a new rank. I got stuck for a second because the way I was playing or the things that I was doing were not very good. I talk about these in fighting games all the time too. Plateaus are extremely normal. I took a step back and I was like, okay, what am I good at and what am I bad at? So I realized the kinds of comps and teams that I was good at playing and the kinds of things that I was strong at playing and the kinds of things that I was bad at. And then I did an evaluation. Should I go learn to play a new style? Or should I learn how to play comps that fit my, the way I like to play better? Am I slamming the wrong items? Am I buying the wrong units? Am I leveling at the wrong points? I would go and watch VODs of people playing the comps and the style that I wanted to play. Watch them play games that went well and games that went bad. And just see the kinds of decision making that they make and ask myself why. I'm constantly asking myself, in the same decision points that the best players in the world are making, what's my choices? What am I gonna do? That is what fixed these kinds of things where I just had big climbs and I was just boom, 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 boom. I also didn't play very many games. I have 180 games since the set came out in November. And I would play 3 or 4 games and I wasn't playing that much. Most TFT players, they're playing fucking 25 games a day or something, right? They play a lot. Every time I had a plateau, there was a couple of problems that I almost always noticed. One, the lower ranked games that I was playing, things that I was doing that were greedier or mistakes were not punished as hard. And then the other thing I realized is that my decision making was usually not quite sharp enough. I had the right ideas, but it took me too long to get there, or I slightly misplayed some kind of thing. And I would just do a checklist of okay, what are the things that I'm building wrong? What are the units that I'm taking that are wrong? Am I too slow? Am I too fast? There was plenty of games, right, where I would get second or third or something. And I would be man, I played that so bad. And there's plenty of games where I would get 5th or 6th or something and be okay, I played that pretty well. I made a lot of really good decisions. This 5th I got here, I actually think I played this pretty well. I was in a terrible spot and I got 5th. I thought I was going 8th for sure. Yeah, the way this game works is top 4, you gain LP, and bot 4, you lose LP. So making top 4 is good, but turning an 8th into a 5th feels so good, honestly. Because a lot of times your games that are seconds and thirds, you turn to first into a second or third. Learning how to VOD review and learning how to step back and ask yourself questions. Also, you don't have to play 1-to-1. So there's a lot of players who are really high ranked players who don't play the game anything like how I like to play the game. I like watching those players learn, but also you need to find people who play the game with a similar mindset to how you play the game. Because one thing that you'll realize is if you're a fighting game player and you watch someone who's really aggressive and you're a defensive player, then it might be hard to find all the takeaways that you want from a player like that. It's not that you can't take anything away. You just have to understand what you can or can't from their playstyle, like what makes sense. I don't remember who I was talking to, but they were talking about playing the same character as Sonic Fox. This motherfucker just goes out there and is right, and I can't do that. So I don't play that way at all. So I have to play the character in a different way. I can take stuff from their game plan, but I can't just go be right. It's a very smart understanding of your own playstyle and like what you're good at. The biggest problem with a game like TFT, and you know people do this with every game, but like TFT has RNG. Naturally, there's variance and there's randomness and there's this stuff. It's really easy in a game like TFT to not do well or even go second or third and blame so many other factors for your loss. People do this about fighting games as well, even though that game does not have the same kind of variance and RNG to the degree that TFT has. The biggest thing, everybody has lucky or unlucky games, right? A lot of my lucky games, I fumbled and got second or third instead of first, right? And a lot of my unlucky games, I managed to turn into top fours or whatever because I played them really well. But games with variance like this and RNG, you have to play the game to the best of your ability, your best outs and the most reasonable choices you can make. And if you're constantly blaming every loss on variance or RNG or the game just hates you or whatever, it's a skill issue straight up. I used to play card games a lot. Sometimes your draws are bricked. Sometimes there's like 10 cards you could draw in your deck that win you the game, and one card that cannot, and you have 11 cards left in your deck, and you draw the card that will not win you the game. That is how they go. You play the game to the best of your ability. Everybody gets luck, good or bad. If you always play your best, you will turn bad luck scenarios into top fours or threes or whatever, and your best of luck scenarios, you will win the game. And even if you're like terrible, bad RNG, and you play really well and it goes bad and you get fifth or something in this game, that's way better than going eighth because you lose way more LP for that, to summarize. Play the game, but you should also watch the game, particularly to improve your strengths and weaknesses. Not just like, what am I bad at and how to fix it, but what are my strengths and how do I play to them better? And whenever you get stuck, right, whenever you have a plateau, it's not because of any other reason than something in your decision making has gotten too stagnant and it's incorrect. You need to play more aggressive or more defensive, or you need to change what you're doing somehow. Maybe the things you're doing, you have some bad habits, you have some things that you do that are not smart choices. When you just like get to the corner in Street Fighter and you're sitting there like, man, if my opponent got hit by this drive impact, I'm gonna win the game. Fuck it. Instead of just playing solid, I'm gonna just do the DI, and then they counter DI and you lose the whole game, and you're like, well, if I was just a little stronger up here, I think I was in a good spot. I just got lazy. That's how it is. But that's what happens to me. Whenever I got stuck at the bottom of a new rank in TFT, it was always the same thought process, which was like, okay, what am I doing wrong here? And like each one, there was a noticeable thing that I was like, okay, the comps I'm playing, either I'm playing them incorrectly or they're not as good as they should be, or I should focus in and play these comps, or the way I'm playing them early game or mid game is really bad, or the way I'm playing them late game is really bad. So as an example, one thing I was really bad at was capping boards. I would play strong early and mid game, but late game, I didn't really know what the best substitutions or units that I should use instead. So I constantly would struggle to like turn my early mid game board into an end game board. So I watched people who were really good at doing that. I was like, okay, that makes sense. These things connect together. These things are all good. I evaluate it. Gotcha. And then I went and did that more in my games, and that had a big improvement on turning my like games where I was in a pretty strong spot but couldn't close into actual closers. And it doesn't always translate 1-to-1, but my opponents are much weaker than their opponents, right? So I don't need to do it as well as they do. I need to do it as well as I do to my skill level, and then it will help me improve. Like, it's the same thing. I'm sure a lot of you guys are playing Tekken right now, right? I'm also new at Tekken. If I'm blocking, I'm gonna lose the game. If my opponent is blocking, they're gonna lose the game. That's the level of play I'm at in early Tekken. No one knows how to punish any strings. No one knows how to duck any strings. Every high is a mid. Do your big lows and like make them block, and you don't block. Dude, I just do a plus move into a mid and it's an infinite. Like, there's absolutely no one blocks it at like yellow ranks or whatever it is, or orange ranks. And like learning how to do offense is really easy because you just learn your mix-ups. You learn a couple of plus strings, you learn a low, you learn like 4 things and you're good. Learning defense means you have to learn 15 things from 40 characters or however many characters are in the game, right? Like, there's so many layers of mastery that you can get into on defense. On offense, on your own stuff, it's me do mid, me do follow-up or not, me do low. So you have to understand to your level of play what is necessary for improvement. And don't get too ahead of yourself. When I play Tekken, I'm like, what looks good to do in neutral to get me into a mix-up scenario? Great, I will do that more. That's as complex as I get in that game. And that's all I need. And I'm just climbing and having a great time. When I hit a speed bump in the road, I make it to insert X rank here, and then it starts to get hard. Then I'm like, okay, let me figure out some new strats. Let me learn some new things, etc. And all of it comes over time. The biggest thing is you can't learn it all in one day. It needs to be taken step by step by step.